You're not crazy. And you're also not 23 anymore. Your body is changing. And with it, the way you approach fitness, nutrition, and weight loss needs to change as well. But instead of beating yourself up, allow me to walk you through exactly how I'd restart my fitness journey in my late 30s, 39 to be exact, without falling into the same mistakes that kept me stuck for years. I'm a certified fitness and health coach that has helped hundreds of women transform their bodies and minds for the better part of 2 decades. And I'm here to make your journey more efficient so that you defy the norms and reinvent yourself at middle age without sacrificing precious time with your family or the enjoyment of your favorite foods. If you're thinking, I don't even know where to start, I get it. Because it seems like there's a lot to do and life is already full. I'm using that word instead of busy because who isn't busy? I'm convinced that adulthood is actually just telling people things should slow down soon, and then they never do. Here's the thing. What works for me and most of my clients is simple, almost boring. But honey, it works when you have the groundwork set. So I'm going to give you the 4 pillars over the course of the next 2 episodes I would take action on immediately if I were restarting. And I believe with all my heart that if you order this correctly and you actually do the action items I present to you, you will never need another restart again. A productive health journey is about momentum. Objects at rest typically stay at rest, and objects in motion typically stay in motion. So when it comes to continually moving forward, it's better for me to turn the dial on my intention and intensity up or down than it is to entirely stop, which would require me to do the painstakingly hard work of building momentum with another start in the future whenever motivation just strikes again. The biggest shift I had 14 years ago that still benefits me to this day was giving up the I'll start again Monday trap. Back then, in the midst of my tumultuous weight loss struggles, I was the poster child for messing up and then restarting every Monday. Maybe it's not a Monday thing for you though. It's a when things slow down. This was a trap for me too, as a mom of 2 young children, because waiting for the perfect timing feels really good, almost helpful, but it's actually an illusion. Life will always be busy. Think about it. Have you ever told yourself, this will be easier when my kids are in school, or I get more organized, or I have less on my plate, and it just keeps getting pushed off? You only get busier. This thought pattern, in my opinion, is toxic because it's teaching you that you won't be able to keep it up when life gets busy. And the whole idea is that you keep your results permanently. So why teach ourselves that we need perfect conditions to make it work? I realized I was creating a stronger mental barrier every time I've reinforced this, even with things like setting business goals or waiting until January 1st for a resolution. When I want to do something, I don't leave the sight of setting the intention without taking some small action now. Be it Googling what I need to, getting something on my calendar, purchasing something. Next time you catch yourself saying, I'll start Monday or I'll start when, stop. Instead, ask, what's the next small thing I can do today? Momentum starts when you decide it does, not when things are perfect. Today is the only day you have, and making progress starts in your mind, which is so exciting because I'm about to help you create health momentum without either of us even needing to get up from our chairs. So step number 1 and the first pillar is mindset. Your fit mind. When you break the word down, it literally means the way that your thinking is situated. It's set. You need to position yourself mentally to be the person who can do the things to have the new results. I believe your mind is your most powerful weight loss tool. When I changed my beliefs, I never regained the weight that was up and down for years. Literally, my best friend told me my weight was like the weather with the amount of times it went up and down until I started to think differently. So the first action step I would invite you to do is to write down a clear, compelling vision of the healthiest, strongest version of you. Get detailed. It may be right now that your brain is wired to focus on what you don't want, because me too. All of ours are. But what you focus on, you create more awareness of. When I talk to new clients, they always start with what they don't want. I don't want to feel so bloated. I don't want to feel stuffed in my clothes. I don't want to feel exhausted every afternoon and need a third coffee. What's missing is a clear vision of what they actually do want. They're usually stumped on that one at first. So instead of I don't want to feel bloated, try I want to feel light, strong, energized in my body. I want to walk into my closet and love whatever I put on. And let's make it as specific as possible because we want it to make you feel warm and fuzzy when you think about it. Instead of, I want to be confident, write something down like, I want to wear my favorite jeans and feel like a hot tamale in them. I want to wake up excited for my workouts instead of dreading them. What does confidence actually mean to you? There's a journal prompt in itself. When was the last time you felt confident? As cliche as it sounds to think about what you've been thinking about, most people don't do it. And setting intentions has been so huge for me and my clients because you will move towards your most dominant thoughts. So it only benefits you to create clarity on the results you really want. I read quite a bit on the most successful people that I admire, and the vast majority of them write down their goals. Not only that, though, they review them often. So specific, front of mind, and imaginable. Confidence is vague. Like, what does a confident you do or say? What does a confident you wear? What kind of marriage does she have? Instead of writing down only the number of pounds you want to lose, which is what I always did, I'd rather you write down the life you want to gain. I'm going to give you a pro tip that I learned years ago for this. Before setting goals, get into a peak state. Energy drives action, which breeds clarity. Many moons ago, my husband and I walked across hot coals at a Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within event. And I was only able to do that because they guided us into a peak state first. So before goal setting, do something that makes you feel powerful. Play music, move your body, get your energy up. My husband and I have a literal dance party. Maybe that's not your thing, but for us, we want the blood flowing. We want to have fun. We want to feel excited. And then we journal it out. Like, let your mind go. Don't play it safe. Don't be realistic. Write down the coolest things that could happen. Most people shrink their goals to make sure they don't feel bad if they miss them. And I was taught by a mindset coach once to purposefully make goals so big that you probably will miss them. And that's okay. Goals are actually more for raising your energy and getting you into a state of anticipation so that you are excited to take action. What sounds more compelling? I don't want to sit down 5 minutes into running around with my kids. Versus, I'm taking my kids on my favorite hike in 12 weeks. When it gets hard, I plan on carrying my daughter on my back. And when we get to 13,000 feet at that summit, we'll take a photo that I will frame and put above our fireplace so we can smile at the memory for years to come. Which statement makes you more excited to train well, fuel yourself, and sleep well? A compelling vision pulls me forward. Willpower is push power. Sure, we can use some of that, but a real vision for you and for your best life is pull power, and that will give you the energy to do what needs to be done. Step 2 is an honest assessment of your current stressors and routines. The reality is, as I said, your body's not the same. In a lot of ways, that's a beautiful thing. You got some miles on this puppy. I happen to think my scars and stretch marks are visual proof of my love and wisdom. But in other ways, we just need to be way more strategic now than we were at 25. I'm not in the quick fix business. I actually hate that language because you're not broken. Your body's not broken either. It's just operating exactly as it should be under the current circumstances and inputs. I want a sustainable lifestyle, and I would imagine most people do as well. The reality is, though, that as a woman in perimenopause, which basically means 35 and older, we are less sensitive to insulin than we were before, and more sensitive to stressors that would dysregulate cortisol than we were before. Long gone are the days that I can stay up past midnight and then hit a boot camp class full force the next morning and actually live to tell about it. So when you look at your stressors, keep in mind that your body is handling various types of stress, not just stress from circumstances, but also metabolic stress in the form of low sleep, a season of eating too little, whether on purpose or by accident, years of emotional eating maybe, environmental stressors in the forms of toxins and endocrine disruptors in our food, cleaning supplies, and even our clothes. We deal with more stress now than we ever have before. And let's just say maybe you have a couple glasses of wine. a week. And maybe you're on some medications you weren't on when you were 25. So your liver has more to handle now as well. Also, exercise is a stressor, especially higher levels of intensity, and a caloric deficit is a stressor, meaning your food being reduced to create an energy gap so your body burns stored fat. If you've been trying to diet for what seems like forever, that's stress. Imagine all of the stressors are being held in one bucket. My bucket is blue with Swarovski crystals, holds all my stress. And I need ways to drain that bucket so that it doesn't overflow, which would cause my body to start screaming at me with undesirable symptoms, which it has done. If you can pinpoint that you have been taking on more stress or maybe unintentionally stressing yourself with endocrine disruptors and undereating and not enough sleep or too frequent alcohol, I would say your first job is to calm your body down. I would not add the stress of high-intensity exercise and less food right away, if at all. Set the foundation of healthy habits that will make your body respond to metabolic stressors like those as it should. So ask yourself right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much stress am I really under? How much stress am I handling on a daily basis? And how can I drain some of that stress out of my bucket? Let's get really simple. You could walk more, ideally at least 7,000 steps per day, which is the number that reduces all-cause mortality in studies. Or you can get better quality rest and recovery and not feel guilty for resting and even scheduling resting in. You could journal, you could meditate, you could pray, you could prepare. This is a very overlooked de-stressor, in my opinion. I don't know about you, but when I was getting used to having 2 kids, I felt like I was always flying by the seat of my pants, which is stressful. No margin between activities, even though it takes longer to do everything with kids, right? So that drives up stress. I didn't prep. I didn't plan food, walking, resting, reading, anything, unless it was like absolutely urgent in my calendar. It was a moment-by-moment survival that turned into a habit. Preparation in small ways will lower your perception of your current stress. Where are the opportunities in your current routines to make yourself more stress resilient? Maybe it's just a few minutes of a morning routine, and I literally mean 2 minutes of gratitude, because I cannot stand when some young gun influencer shows me their 2-hour morning routine. Ain't nobody got time for that. Or an evening brain dump in a journal instead of scrolling. That's been so helpful to me. Speaking of, how much scrolling do you do? If you were to audit that and take some of that time to walk more and breathe and pay attention to your food, maybe even create a routine of taking supplements, you would have a perception of more control, which would give you more positive feelings about your fitness and health. Feelings drive the bus, not facts. You know, healthy habits are obviously good for you, but people don't operate out of knowing that it's good for them. That alone is not enough to move most people forward. We have to make ourselves feel like it until it's a routine. We all need routines. And the cool thing is, you already have them. So instead of I'll walk more, which is so vague, what about I'll walk 15 minutes after my lunch? Super specific, attached it to a routine that you already have. Instead of I'll eat more protein, again, vague, what about I'll make sure I check my fridge on Friday at 4 when I get home, write down protein sources to refill in my phone, and then prepare it on Sundays immediately after church. Doesn't that sound more productive? These preparation actions will lower the stress in your bucket because you will feel better about the future. These are just 2 examples with protein and walking, but we'll go into more details in the future. Assess yourself before you wreck yourself. You know, when my youngest wasn't sleeping through the night and my eldest wasn't napping during the day, I figured that I could just still train really hard and be hardcore and no excuses, just results. Had not assessed the fact that my body was under a lot of emotional stress and physical stress. So those workouts were actually making me look worse. One other thing to assess is what kind of obstacles you'll have to overcome. This ties into point number 1 because you likely will have to overcome limiting beliefs, past perceived failures, diet culture myths, and overcome real-world constraints like limited time. Okay, so you know what you want, you know where you are, what now? Next time we get together, let's get into pillars 3 and 4 I would handle if I were restarting my fitness journey aimed at losing at least 20 pounds in 2025 as someone who was born in 1985. Do not move forward without clarifying what you truly want and examining what kind of stressors you're dealing with and obstacles you will be overcoming. Then pick one small thing to start today, like the protein, planning your workouts. You don't need a Monday, honey. Until next time, you've got what it takes to do this. And this time, you're going to do it in a way that lasts.